Jesus said, "I am the true vine, and my Father is the vine grower. He removes every branch in me that bears no fruit. Every branch that bears fruit he prunes to make it bear more fruit. You have already been cleansed by the word that I have spoken to you. Abide in me as I abide in you. Just as the branch cannot bear fruit by itself unless it abides in the vine, neither can you unless you abide in me. I am the vine, and you are the branches. Those who abide in me and I in them bear much fruit, because apart from me you can do nothing. Whoever does not abide in me is thrown away like a branch and withers. Such branches are gathered and thrown into the fire and burned. If you abide in me and my words abide in you, ask for whatever you wish, and it will be done for you. My Father is glorified by this, that you bear much fruit and become my disciples. As the Father has loved me, so I have loved you. Abide in my love. If you keep my commandments, you will abide in my love, just as I have kept my Father's commandments and abide in his love. I have said these things to you so that my joy may be in you and that your joy may be complete. This is my commandment, that you love one another as I have loved you. No one has greater love than this, to lay down one's life for one's friends. You are my friends if you do what I command you. I do not call you servants any longer, because the servant does not know what the master is doing. But I have called you friends, because I have made known to you everything that I have heard from my Father. You did not choose me, but I chose you, and I appointed you to go and bear fruit that will last, so that the Father will give you whatever you ask of him in my name. I am giving you these commands so that you may love one another." The word of the Lord.
Thanks be to God. Look around you at this space in which we worship. Gaze at the sturdy stone walls, beautiful stained glass windows that show episodes in the life of faith, show different episodes in the life of Jesus, different stories of the Bible. The back window at the top, you can see some of the prominent people of faith, Calvin and Knox and Augustine and others. Architects know that the way a space is designed can have both a physiological and a psychological impact on you. Think of the difference you feel when you enter into a small, dark room with a low ceiling. Then think about how it feels when you step into a room that has 30-foot high ceilings and light pouring in. The experience is very different. Now, we can worship God in all kinds of spaces, but some act as a thin place where the boundary between heaven and earth is especially permeable. These places evoke a sense of reverence in us because we become aware of God more easily. Several times I've led people into this sanctuary, and their first glimpse has really awed them. Entering from the back and walking into the sanctuary, their eyes are almost always drawn upward. Now, of course, Christians find it moving. They look forward and they see the communion table and the baptismal font, and they see the cross, and they see the very powerful resurrection window. But I have led Jews and Muslims into this space for the first time, and they too have begun to speak in hushed tones, because a sense of reverence just comes over them. They know this is a sacred space. What a gift previous generations of Westminster members have given us. This amazing sacred space where we worship week after week with our church family, where we listen for a word from God, where we voice our concerns in prayer, where our souls are stirred by the music. We come here to make sense of our lives, to have our hopes revived. We come to this majestic space to transcend our small self and to remember our greater self as one created in the image of God. We come to this awe-inspiring space to step out of the immediate and to ponder the eternal. We're so grateful to those members who at the beginning of the 20th century heard God's call, and they took a leap of faith to build this sanctuary. 300 members decided they would build a sanctuary to seat nearly 500 people. For some people, the sanctuary and our chapel are about the only place they ever see here. They miss the classrooms and the conference rooms where small groups can meet in a more immediate environment. They're unaware of our offices that house all of our church staff, who really form much of the backbone of our ministry and mission here. Those who slip in and out of church only on Sundays never find out what's going on down in Community Hall, the fellowship that takes place there, the many activities that occur there. Anyone who doesn't step into our building Monday through Saturday misses out on all kinds of activities that are going on here. This is a beehive of activity during the week. Our 180 youth meetings, session meetings, deacon meetings, trustee meetings. We have a number of committee meetings, choir rehearsals, Stephen ministry training, men's fellowship, Bible study, book groups, our knitting group that knits sweaters, the prayer shawls for people who are ill. We have the annual bazaar. We have the Christmas boxes. The list just goes on and on, all the things that we do here. However, our facilities are not only for our many Westminster groups, are they? There are 30 community organizations that use our facilities. And I'm wondering if you can help me name some of them. Somebody name something that you know goes on here. Family Promise and Urban Promise. Family Promise, we house homeless families 4 times during the year for a week at a time. In the shelters in Wilmington, they separate the men and the women. But this allows families to stay together when they come here. Really important ministry. Mentioned Urban Promise. During the school year, 40 young children, elementary age, kids from the inner city of Wilmington that were really literally pulled from the streets, come here Monday through Thursday, get help for 3 hours on their homework. They learn Christian values, and they also learn conflict resolution, how they're going to resolve their difficult situations with others without resorting to their hands and feet. What's another one? AA. We have 9 different AA and NA groups who meet here, usually between 30 and 40 people. This is every week, 9 different groups. People come here getting help to overcome their addiction and get support from others who are going through the same thing. Friendship House. Across the street in Daughtry House that we own are the Friendship House offices. And in Burton House, we have transitional housing for men who are trying to get their lives back together again. Can you think of any others? Pachman Terrace meets here. Peace Drums, Pachman Terrace, Churches for Middle East Peace, all these ministries that are striving for justice and peace in our world meet here. You probably don't know there's a group called Child Inc. They help do parenting classes for people so that they can become better parents. We've got all kinds of groups who are meeting here during the week after week. They come here. Mental Health Association provides women's support groups. Fish. Some of you are fish. Bob, you didn't mention fish. The Fedlers, the Stablers, we've got a lot of people in here who drive for fish. That organization drives people to a doctor's appointment. People who don't have a car, people who don't have the transportation. Rainbow Chorale, a community choir for the LGBT community. The Garage over in Burton House. Joyce, I didn't hear you say anything about that. We donate furniture. People all over the community donate furniture here. We keep it over there in the Burton House garage, but it doesn't stay there very long, does it, Joyce? Because we have women who are coming out of homeless shelters and they're able to get their first apartment, and we help them furnish it. We helped our refugee get some furniture for the refugee family get some furniture for their place. Other families in the area get referred here by social service agencies. There are 30 different groups that meet in our facilities. And this is one of the things that makes Westminster so unique. A number of churches only allow their buildings to be used for their own members. Not us. Not here. Our building is a major part of our mission, helping people in this community. In the passage Alex read earlier, Jesus provides us with this marvelous metaphor for representing the church. He says, I am the true vine and you are the branches. And when we're connected to Jesus, we have God's Spirit in us. We can bear great fruit. When we're not connected, we wither. Jesus goes on to explain what it is that keeps us linked together. Loving each other. Church is supposed to be a family where we care for each other, where we support each other. Sometimes we challenge each other. Yet the church can only be the true church when we look beyond ourselves to the needs of our world. Throughout the Gospels, Jesus calls on his followers to be engaged in healing the world by feeding the hungry, clothing the naked, liberating the oppressed, visiting the ill, protecting the vulnerable, striving for peace. On Sunday mornings during the program year, we use nearly every inch of this building. The other days of the week, our building continues to be a bustling place. Our magnificent edifice allows us to live out Jesus' command to love one another and to extend compassion and healing to our community. Our marvelous facilities provide the firm foundation on which our mission and ministry is built. Sustaining them is incredibly important, not only to our present, but to our future. However, sustaining these facilities is an enormous challenge, and it's putting a great strain on our financial resources. Did you know that our building has 24 different roofs, 60 rooms, 19 air conditioning units, 38 stained glass windows. We comprise 50,000 square feet. Our stone structure is also very sturdy, solid. However, you know that concrete between those solid stones? It doesn't last forever. Some of you remember that 10 years ago, we found a large piece of concrete lying on the sidewalk outside. It had fallen out of the bell tower. If it had hit someone, they probably would not have survived. We quickly hired a company to repoint the entire tower out there. You remember the scaffolding, some of you, that was up for some time. It cost $250,000 to repoint the tower. Our property is amazing. And our trustees have told us that over the next 10 years, we're going to have to do some more repointing in this building, about $400,000 worth in the next 10 years. We also need to replace some of those large air conditioning units on top of the building. We need to repair some of our roofs. Stained glass windows last a very long time, last for decades, but they don't last forever. The weight of these windows is so heavy that the glass pieces in them over time begin to bow. And after a while, if they're not repaired, they will shatter. Over the next 10 years, we're going to have to spend close to $200,000 repairing our stained glass windows. Thank goodness that a number of years ago, our faithful trustees developed this 10-year property plan that estimates what we have to repair and replace over the next 10 years, and it's upgraded every year. The 10-year plan takes into account everything in our physical property. Roofs, flooring, heating and air conditioning units, computers, furniture, lighting, electronics, sound systems, the parking lot, and much more. The bottom line is this. Over the next 10 years, we need to spend about $200,000 a year for the upkeep of our facilities. Now, currently, we have a $2 million endowment for our property. We take a 5% draw off that, and so we have $100,000 a year to help us with these expenses. Now, for more than 10 years, we've been trying to pull that second $100,000 we need out of the annual budget, but we've rarely been able to do it. The budget's simply too tight. Several years now, our joint finance committee has been wrestling with this dilemma, and last year they made a recommendation to our session. We need to have a capital campaign to raise another $2 million so that we'll have all the money we need to take care of these facilities now and for the foreseeable future. Last December, the session voted to embark on this campaign. We're hoping to raise this $2 million for the property endowment. We also decided to challenge our congregation to go beyond the $2 million and raise money for mission at the same time. Now, everything we raise beyond the $2 million and the campaign expenses is going to go for mission. In January, we recruited a campaign executive committee and 3 outstanding campaign chairs: Jan Patrick, Bob Rideout, Patty Rideout. The 3 of them and the members of this committee and I have been meeting with church families over the last 5 months, people that we believed could help us make a really strong start to our campaign. And today we're opening up this campaign for the entire congregation. Our goal, $2.3 million. But if all of us make a sacrificial gift, we will not only meet, but we will exceed that goal. Please keep your eye on your mailbox this week. In the next couple of days, you're going to receive a brochure that explains the campaign and our goal, and it has a letter of intent in it. We're asking everyone to make a pledge that's payable over 5 years so that we can raise the maximum amount of funds. We're calling the next 2 weekends here at church commitment weekends. We'd like for everyone to either bring to church your letter of intent or mail it in by the end of July. We're going to put a large plaque on the outside of the walls there on the main hallway. It's going to have the name of everyone who's given to this campaign, and I want your name on that plaque. After you read the information, if you're not entirely clear about this campaign, please call the church. We will have someone return your call and help you get answers to your questions. Now, over the last few months, we've been meeting with people about the campaign, and I have to tell you, I have been overwhelmed by the generosity of some of our members. To date, 64 families have made a pledge. We have raised for our property endowment already, you ready for this? $1.85 million. If everybody else in our church family gives generously, we're going to meet and surpass that goal and bolster our mission giving. There are defining moments in the life of every church. 1910 was a crucial moment in the life of this church. That's when those 300 members decided to build this large sanctuary to seat many more people than they had in their membership. And that destined this church for greatness. In the 1970s, when our trustees purchased land across here and built that parking lot, it ensured this church's future. Today, there are a number of downtown churches that have no parking lot, and their churches have shrunk to below 150 members because there's no place for people to park. If they don't have a substantial endowment, they'll not be able to take care of their facilities. Sadly, the Episcopal Church no longer has a cathedral in Wilmington. They had to close their cathedral because they couldn't keep up the building. Over the next 10 years, unfortunately, we are going to watch some Wilmington churches close simply because they can't afford to keep up their building. Some of them are going to be Presbyterian churches too. Now, colleges and universities can't exist without endowment funds. And the same has become true of churches. Another pivotal moment in the life of this church was the Building in Faith campaign back in the 1990s. Some of you were part of that. That resulted in our community hall, the kitchen, classrooms 5 and 6, the office hall, and really brought our facilities up to the point where they need to be. Well, now it's the next step. We don't need to build any more building here, but we need to ensure that our facilities will never fall into disrepair. That's what this campaign addresses. We're solidifying the present, and we're guaranteeing the future for this church to remain vibrant. A church that cares about the community and uses its facilities day in and day out to support extraordinary mission here in Wilmington. Our magnificent stone structure is our spiritual home. But after being a member here for a while, we begin to take it all for granted. May we never forget that for many other community ministries that are changing people's lives, this square block on Pennsylvania Avenue stands as a beacon of light. This campaign is our opportunity to live our mission and to continue to welcome people who come to our doors. Open your heart and let the love of God prompt you to join this bold effort.